guys, welcome back. We're gonna be talking about books, if you didn't know already. Spoiler alert. Anyways, today we're gonna be doing a 2025 book tag. I got this idea from a creator I found on Instagram. I will tag her name below because you give credit where credit is due. If you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes because can't memorize everything. So here we are, here we go. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so the first question is, how many books do I plan to read in 2025? I plan to read 50 books. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is last year I read over 150 books. That was a lot for me. It's a lot because, one, it took me away from a lot of things. I understand books are escapism, but for me, it took me away from like really great friendships, really great community outlets. And if you have great community, great friendships, great family, things like that, you want to be a part of that. And my Kindle can come with me wherever she wants to go. But yeah, I want to read 50 books for that reason. And then also the reason I was able to read like so many other books is I have summers off. I work for a school, but I also want to be able to like do other things and enjoy other parts of my life that I get to have. So it's gonna be 50 books. If I read more, I read more. But the audiobooks, I'm gonna read as many as I want to because audiobooks don't take me away from anything. If I have to go to a function, I'll listen to an audiobook. If I have to go to work, I'll listen to an audiobook. If during work I have admin time, which could be 1 to 2 hours or so, pop the headphones in and listen to an audiobook. I can get through a lot with audiobooks, and sometimes if I have a book that I really enjoy and I just can't wait to know what happens next, I will actually try to find a way to get the book on Libby or Chirp or something like that. Very cheap access to these books, and then be able to do a tag team. I do that a lot with my books, and I really enjoy that because, one, it allows me to get through the book faster. Two, I have FOMO. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's happening. Even though I know in a few hours I can get back home and read the book, but I just can't wait. So that was a long-winded answer for how many books I'm reading this year, which will be 50 physical books, and audiobooks, a plethora. The next question is, a book you are likely to reread this year. So I already started reading Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. I talked about this a lot in my other video. This is one of my very first romance novels that I truly enjoy that wasn't a dark romance. So that's kind of like my cup of tea is dark romance. Give me a little like gray behavior, red flags all day. That's kind of like what I enjoy. Terms and Conditions, a couple reasons why I love this book and why I love rereading it. Declan is truly a grumpy man. Like throughout the entire book, he doesn't change, regardless of like when he shows like any inkling of like, oh, you actually apologize, oh, you actually care. It's like covered with, but I'll give you a snare. I'll be grumpy, or like I'll like growl or whatever. Like homeboy is truly the best version of what it is to be grumpy. Like he does not change. And Iris is just spectacular. And Lauren Asher does a really great job writing about a person of color. Like it's just done so well. I'm just like, who is this woman? How did she do this? So Terms and Conditions is going to be a reread for me. Another reread, I am slowly trying to find like purchase books of Harry Potter, and I'm trying to find them very cheap. And so Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is going to be like a reread for me. I read all the Harry Potter books in my 20s, very late to the game. I watched all the movies and everything like that. Like, don't you worry, I was in it. But for when it came to like having physical copies of this book, I never owned the copies. I read them all through my Kindle. So I'm really excited to just like go out, and if I see Harry Potter, any of the books for a decent price, I'm going to grab them. But this is going to be a reread for me. A priority read on your 2025 TBR. So as you can see, see right here behind me, as you can see, I do have a good amount of books. I have a good amount of books below me that you can't see. I have a good amount of books of shelves around my living room and in my bedroom. So I have a lot of books that I do need to read, but two of them in particular have stared at me for so long, and I just feel their wrath. So the first one is a dark romance book, All He'll Ever Be. Like, look how thick that is. Like, you would be like, maybe next time too, okay? I know this book is, I think it's like 2 books in one, so it kind of helps breaks it down a little bit better, but it's just still so daunting to me, and that's probably the reason why I haven't picked it up yet. I am a dark romance girl, but this is a lot. It's a lot. So that's one. And the next one is Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ning. That's going to be another anticipated read for me to 2025. The reason why I haven't picked up this book yet is because I didn't want to read something that was going to crush my soul. And I got this book at a time where life was just hitting me hard, left and right. I was wearing black so much that I was just like over life. And so the reason why I just couldn't pick this up, because I heard like this one is very gut-wrenching. It like hurts your soul, and I'm just like, ooh, I'm not ready for that. So I think I am at that point now where I can look at this book and be like, you are going to be read this year. So these two. An author you won't be reading more books from this year. I haven't read her books in a while, but like Colleen Hoover. Enough said. Anyways, next one. Something new you want to read, genre or trope. I would say like memoirs are becoming a new favorite of mine. I started reading memoirs a little bit last year. I started one, and then 2 years ago I read another one. So the first memoir I like kind of read, I would say like it's not the first memoir I ever read in my life. I definitely read memoirs in school, but one I truly enjoyed was Crying in H Mart. This was a recommendation from a friend, so I would recommend this also to other people. The author just does a fabulous job just really talking about her dynamic between her and her mom, the dynamic between living in America but also having Korean background and that culture and how it's infused in her life. So Crying in H Mart is it was the catapult for me for getting into memoirs. And then earlier this year, I finished Sorry for the Inconvenience, another great read for me about a Pakistani woman who essentially talks about her life with her family, her relationships, things like that. Another book I would also recommend to people, a great memoir. And then the 2 memoirs that I plan on reading for 2025, and I might read more, who knows, is Born a Crime. This has been on my shelf for forever, and it's been a book I've been thinking about for such a long time that I've always wanted to read. So Born a Crime. And then From Scratch, the reason why I know this book is I watched the Netflix series and with Zoe Saldana, and that was just so difficult to just consume and just be immersed in that world. She deals with so much when it comes to moving, family dynamic, loss, all of that. And I just think her story built on love and family, and it's something that I relate to so much. So From Scratch is the next memoir. So memoirs are going to be like the thing for me that I want to get into. And the next thing is classics. I am someone who was always into like Jane Austen, Dickens, and I read books like Little Women. So I want to get back into that. I really did enjoy them. I have those books here. Shakespeare was another one. I used to read Julius Caesar every year, like on my birthday. It was like a traditional thing I did. Don't know why. I love Julius Caesar. I think there are lessons to be learned in Shakespeare's stories. But for now, the classics that I have, a picture of Dorian Gray, and then I also have The Little Woman, which would probably be a reread for me. And then I just want to get back into the classic. I want to get back to Jane Austen and read all of her books too. Popular book you want to read. So 2 books that I want to read. One is like a fantasy and one is a romance. So Emily Henry just snuck up on me. I read Happy Place later in 2024, and I just devoured everything about it. The characters were some of the best characters I've read, and they had depth to them, and they were characters you could relate to, characters you could root for. I loved everything about the dynamic with the 3 friends, and then I love the dynamic between her and the ex, and love that he wasn't like some billionaire, rich guy, doctor, or whatever. I don't know. It's just someone who had a lot of emotion and was great about sharing his vulnerability with the female main character. Yeah, I just loved Happy Place so much. So Funny Story is a book, of course, you see everywhere, and I really hope that it doesn't let me down, but Happy Place didn't let me down. So I think Emily Henry is going to do a great job with Funny Story for me. And then Spark of the Everflame. Few friends of mine have already read this book and not to finish the series because the series is not done yet, but finished the books that are out already. And they loved it. And they said it was like a slow burn type of romantasy book. I love that. I can't do instant love. I can't do like instant attraction makes complete sense, but instant love, no thank you. But I can't wait to dive into this new world. That's to come. Most anticipated 2025 book release. So it is already January 22nd. And so as of yesterday, Onyx Storm came out. And of course, that was the book I was really excited for. Look how beautiful that is. So what I realized today when I got this in the mail, I realized this is like my first ever like any type of edition. Like I've never had a book like that before where like sprayed edges. Last time when I was trying to get like Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, I wasn't able to get those types of editions. So I ordered this ages ago, and I'm happy I did because this is really beautiful. It makes me happy that like I have one book with like beautiful edges. I don't think I'll be someone who like collects them or tries to find them, but to be able to like get something like this, it's amazing. I already started this book. You know, I'm doing a tag team with it, so reading it and then also listening to it on Audible because I just can't get enough of this story. I can't get enough of the characters, this world. Fourth Wing, devoured it, loved everything about the introduction, the storyline. Violet, the second book, Iron Flame, not it. It was not it for me. I could not do the juvenile behavior whatsoever. But the reason why I was excited for Onyx Storm is like, it's gonna be a 5-book series. I love the first one. I love Rebecca Yarrow's writing, and I enjoy a lot of her romance novels. So I just feel like she's gonna do it for us. So I'm hoping that as I get through this, as I finish this book, we're just gonna see some great things from her. Okay. So another release is Heartless Hunter, was the first book of the series, but so this is what I have, Heartless Hunter. Crimson Moth has a book 2 coming out later this year, the first half of the year. So I'm excited about that. And then Manacled is gonna be coming out, but it's not gonna be called Manacled, it's gonna be called Alchemized, I believe. And that one is coming out in September 2025. That was my top read of 2024, and like nothing surpassed it whatsoever. I can't even tell you the emotions I went through reading that book. It was so thought out, and it made you want to like be back in the Harry Potter world again. I kind of wish like this was what we actually saw on screen. It was just so dark and heavy and gruesome, and it made you think. Like that's something I enjoy about books that are so well written, despite like regardless of the genre it's in. It could be romance, it could be fantasy, but if you truly like look at Manacled and you're like, what would you do in that situation? If you were Hermione Granger, what would you do to get the result that you need? And so like everything that she goes through, that she has to do, how she feels with her friends, like Hermione is truly top tier when it comes to friendships. But Manacled is it. It's called Alchemized and it'll be coming back out in September 2025. So really excited for that. Okay, a bookish goal of 2025. I've already done in 2024, and the reason I started in 2024 is I wanted to build the habit into 2025. So one of them is being like how I buy my books. I was trying to do like, I'm not gonna buy any books until I read all of my TBR list. I can't make that promise. I just can't. So what I made a decision to do is, one, using my Libby more, and I want to use it for books for my Kindle and audiobooks. So that's kind of like a way I am helping my wallet and just ensuring that I am not spending too much money on books. They are very expensive, so that's going to be very difficult to just try to maintain that. The only books I feel like I'm going to spend money on are books that I'm really excited for their release. So I'm going to buy the Crimson Moth, the book 2 of that. I am going to get the Manacled book when it's published. I also just bought the Onyx Storm, the special edition. And so those are things that like I'm really trying to do to help just better balance my wallet. And then of course, when it comes to when other books that I want to read, I'm going to try my best to like use my Kindle. I have Kindle Unlimited. I really like it. It's definitely something that is worth it for me, and I want to ensure that I'm using it more and more and utilizing like all of it. There are so many books that are on there that are popular books and books I want to read as well, and they're there for me to read, and there's nothing wrong with a Kindle. I know it's not as special as having your beautiful trophy, and if there are books I'm like, I actually want to have the physical copy of it, then I will get it or try to find it at a cheaper price. I do shop a lot on Thrift Book. That is a website I started using maybe over a year ago now, 6 months to a year, and it has helped so much. I've gone to thrift stores in general, and I have found some great things. My Harry Potter book is from there. I also got the 7th Harry Potter book from there. Just go different times throughout the month and just see what they have. You'll be surprised that you could probably find like some really popular books just shoved in there because someone wanted to donate it. So that's something like I'm changing for 2025. I'm really happy that I've started early so I can just build that habit that it's just part of my system. If there's sales, I'll get them though. Like a month ago, Barnes & Noble had a hardback sale. So all their hardcover books were on sale for like 30 to 50%. It varied depending on the book. And those are like sales. I'm like, okay, it's probably worth it. This thing is a book that's been on your TBR list and you probably won't read. I'm trying to think. I feel like I really got rid of all the books that like I'm not gonna read or touch. So I'm glad for that. I think I had Verity was the last Colleen Hoover book I had sitting somewhere, and I was like, donate. So that was gone. Okay, let's see. A series you want to read this year. So of course, we are finishing Onyx Storm by the end of this month. So that's going to be a series I'm really excited for. Who knows when the next book is coming out? That's just going to be stress. Another series. Okay, this is weird. I have like some type of rage reading habit. I don't know, but like Powerless came out. I don't remember when it came out. Maybe 23, 24. And then Reckless came out right after. So Powerless, I didn't like it. I tried to find like another word, but that wasn't it. There wasn't anything about me that really truly enjoyed this book. But the reason why I read Reckless, I read it on my Kindle. Okay, I didn't buy the physical copy. I read Reckless because I was like, okay, maybe the second book will be better. The reason why I didn't like Powerless is your girl grew up on Hunger Games, right? Like I watched it premiere. I read all the books. And because of that, like that's my childhood, like Hunger Games, Divergent, read both those series and watched those movies. I couldn't get into Powerless because it was just such a copycat to me. And nothing made sense. Like the trials and everything, like it didn't make sense why they were happening or what's going on. It was just too similar to the other books and the other series. I get it. A lot of authors take inspiration from other things, but I would have liked it to be more advanced. I also I'm not a fan of like the main character, Pay or Pi, I forget, I don't know how to pronounce her name. And when I read Reckless, I was like, okay, she's doing okay, but like what's supposed to happen because nothing was different. Like it was the same two characters throughout the book going back and forth in the desert or something. And then the plot twist at the end made zero sense. I'm someone that like, I love when I love when authors kind of like put in little hints or foreshadowing, and then when the big reveal happens at the end and you go back in the page, you're like, oh my god, that's what that meant. Reckless had none of that. I paid attention so closely. I was like, how was that even possible? Where did that even come from? And I just am still gonna read the third book whenever it comes out, because here's my thing. This is her debut novel, and there is something about authors that like put their stuff out there for the world to read and consume. That's an amazing feat to go through, and you don't even know them, but you're like, oh, I'm proud of you for like doing something so amazing. I'm just hoping the third book just does it. I'm probably gonna not probably, I will for sure read it on my Kindle because I'm not going to purchase it. I just want to root for her and root that the third book will actually make a lot more sense. So there's that. And the next series that I'm going to read is the Zodiac Academy. So I read the first one and now I have the second one. The first one to me was like, okay. There were just moments where I'm just like, oh, there was no consent there. What's happening? And it is like, it does read like a young adult novel, so I gotta double check. I think it is considered a YA. I do want to get into Zodiac Academy. I want to see what the hype is about. I do love the two main characters. I did a tag team on this one. I read the book and then I also listened to it I got it on Libby. So that was really, having both of those are very eventful. The two girls, I'm still trying to figure out, like, do I like them? Do I love their characters? Do I love their purpose and what they're there for? Who knows? But Zodiac Academy, I'm slowly buying these books. There's so many in the series. I feel like there's like 7 or 8. I think there's more. And it's a very daunting task, but I'm here for the journey. And then another book that I have that I'm ready to start, it's a trilogy, Shadow and Bone. I watched the series, so the series is based off of this first book, so I want to read this book and I want to read the next two. The next two are Sage and Storm and Ruin and Rising. That is going to be kind of like the series I want to get into. Your auto-buy authors going into 2025. Okay, books I will auto-buy. Anything Abby Jimenez. Let's see about Emily Henry. If I love funny story, she might be on there. Ali Hazelwood. The only book I was not a fan of was Bride. That wasn't it for me. So Ali Hazelwood. R. Kwong is another author that I'm really excited for. I am currently reading The Poppy War and enjoying that, loving the storyline, loving the world building. That's kind of like where I'm at right now in the book. And I've just heard great things about her. So she is someone that I think would automatically become an auto buy for me. I also have Yellowface on my bookshelf, and that's going to be a read for me in 2025. Brianne Weaver, my girl, that's it. I just absolutely love her books that she has come out with so far, and I'm excited for the third one that is in the series. I think the Ruin series, I think that's what it is. The trilogy. So those are authors I would say I'm very much into and would buy automatically if I saw their book. I'm like, what more do you have? Okay, a sequel I'm anticipating. Again, I mentioned this before, but the sequel to Heartless Hunters coming out this year. I want to say it's coming out in March, but like I'm not positive. I need to check on that actually. So that's a sequel that I'm really excited for. This year, it's a YA book, fantasy, witches. It's going to be great. So that's like a book I'm really excited for this year. Bookish things you're leaving in 2024. Okay, so bookish things I'm leaving. I talked about it already, but I am going to be more conscious of the books that I am buying in a sense of like pricing. I also have not had great luck with books that are popular, like on Booktag, things like that. So I think I just want to be mindful of those things. I do enjoy classics. I do enjoy memoirs. I do enjoy a little bit of fantasy romance. So I just want to dive into books that I feel like I want to dive into and not what the world says you should dive into. Overconsumption of books, right? So like using my Kindle more, using Libby more. Audiobooks are for me and I love them and they just work so well with the lifestyle that I have. Be mindful of what I'm reading. So as I said before, making sure that like I'm reading books that I love and books that like maybe, okay, it's popular and everyone's talking about it. Should I read it? Sometimes like they're never as good as I had hoped they would be. And another thing I want to leave in 2024 is like the FOMO. Like I'll get to it when I get to it. Like books like The Poppy War and the trilogy of this book. This is her debut novel. This has been around for so long. And just because it has been doesn't mean I can't read it, you know? Like even though like it has been out for a while now, like doesn't mean like I can't jump into it whenever, wherever. So I think that that's something like that FOMO I need to leave behind. Like I'll get to it when I get to it. Life is life. I want to be just conscious of like every aspect of what I do in my life in 2025 and how I spend my time. And as much as I love reading and love books, and Kindle's always with me at all times, I need to be more aware of like the time I spend and where I spend it and how I spend it, making sure like I allocate time well when it comes to my reading. How has your reading taste evolved from the last year? I would say I was reading a lot of dark romances, and slowly I just got into like fun, lighthearted romance. Ali Hazelwood was my first introduction into that, and that was like the first book, Love Hypothesis, and I love that she was a STEM author. I was like, as she should. And then Abby Jimenez was another one. Now Emily Henry, just slowly getting into that. Of course, I want to get back into the classics and all that stuff, but memoirs have been such a great addition into my just book collection, and I want to continue to have that. So I think having memoirs and like lighthearted romance novels kind of changed my reading taste completely. And then another one is reading books by people of color. I didn't realize it, but just like a lot of books that I have are not by people who look like me or look like my friends. Just it's not a diverse bookshelf whatsoever, and I want to be more intentional about that this year. And slowly I have been incorporating more people of color into my book. I want to read books that like I can actually relate to, or there's a hero in there that is like me, and it's rare to find them. It's rare to find them like amongst like other book creators too, but they're slowly coming there. And I want to be more intentional about that this year. And in the past few years, it has changed. Like one of the top books of 2024 for me as well was the Legendborn series. And the third book is actually coming out this year too. And that's another book that I'm excited for. Christina Forrest is another author that has been circulating around, and I also have her book on my shelf that I am going to read and plan to read this year. So just really getting into that and just making sure that like my bookshelf reflects like what is actually my life, and that is important to me and it's important to the people around me. Something you want to say to anyone wanting to start a bookish account? I'm new to this, so like I honestly don't know. At first, like not at first, it still is a little daunting and a little bit just interesting, just guiding myself through all of this, like what it means to have an account, what it means to share about my books and my love for books to like the world, or like how many people actually see this, which is not many, but I just say do it. For me, it's cathartic to just talk it out to the world. It might not be seen by many, but I enjoy just like yapping. Like it is something that comes easy to a lot of people. So I say, if you want to talk about it, talk about it. And there's not a lot of people you can really dive into books with. If you have those friends in that community, that's so great. I'm grateful to have that. I'm grateful to have like a book club, but sometimes in the moment I want to say something and do something and just share all these things, and it's hard to do that in like one sitting with a friend. So having kind of like a live journal, which is like what I feel this is for me, is something that I truly take to heart and I love. And I think for other people, if you decide to do that, that's great, and it probably will be the best thing you've ever done for your life, and just like a fun little project to do. And engaging with other creators for me has been a great experience. I just encountered just really great women on this platform and on Instagram too, and just seeing like people are really creative, people are really fun and exciting, and they're funny and enjoyable to watch and to consume their content. And I love that side of Bookstagram. So I just say do it, enjoy it, consume it, and also share love. And I also think like following a lot of book creators have helped me found a few books that I do enjoy and do like, and it just curates my feed to show that. I am very intentional of also who I follow and what I follow. So the books that I get recommended, the recommendations that come through are books I'm like, that is something I want to dive into. Like for example, Sorry for the Inconvenience was one of those books that I saw on a Bookstagram account, and I was like, I think I would enjoy something like this. and because I was getting into memoirs more and more, and I wanted to dive into that type of genre, I was excited to find this recommendation and read it and enjoy it, and now recommending it to all of you. That's all I have for 2025 book tag, and I hope you enjoy your 2025 year. I can't wait to just dive into all these books that I have on my list and just share them out even more, and also just share it with friends. Find a book club and share it with them. I'm excited for my book club, excited for books that we are going to read in this coming year. So that's all I have for you guys. Have a great one. Bye.